Hi everyone, thank you for coming today. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work today, the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and to pay my respects to elders past and present and emerging leaders, and to also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which you live and work, as we're all located in different places at this point in time. Secondly, just wanting to introduce to you some of the staff, the Give Where You Live staff that we have on the call today. So firstly, my name is Kerry Farrance and I'm the Head of Impact at Give Where You Live. We also have Jennifer Speed, which many of you would already know. Jenny is the Community Impact and Grants Coordinator, and going forward we'll be focusing much more on the life crisis area. And we also have Hannah Simpkin, who joined us just this week, and Hannah has joined us as a Community Impact and Grants Coordinator with a focus specifically on employment and education. And we also, many of you would know, Sheridan Salmon, who is our General Manager for Marketing and Fundraising. Sheridan is obviously a key contact for you with regards to branding and acknowledgement and marketing information as well. The purpose of today is really just to help you to understand our expectations that we have of you as a grantee, and to provide you a little bit more information around reporting requirements, talking in a little bit more detail around grant highlight stories, and also talking through some of our branding preferences and any marketing opportunities and acknowledgements as well. And there's a couple of additional pieces of information, particularly around visits to your programs and organisations, and also capacity building activities that we might be looking at running next year. So firstly, just on the reporting requirements for the Community Connection Grant Round. The grants within this grant round are required to submit a single report, which is due on Friday the 15th of October next year. That report is really looking at what are some of the impact or outcomes that your project has achieved, how your activities have contributed towards these, and who has benefited from your project and how. For a small number of organisations, they also received matched funding from the Australian Communities Foundation, and there is an additional 6-month report that is due directly to ACF, details of how to submit that, and also the report template have also been provided within the Grantee Pack, so you have access to that information. In addition to the annual project report, we also ask that all grantees provide at least one grant highlight story, and this is negotiated on a mutually agreed date that makes sense for your organisation and also makes sense for the delivery of your project. I'll talk in a little bit more detail about this now, and then I'll touch on the process of looking in dates towards the end of the session. So grant highlights. Really what we're looking for within these is a brief description of what your organisation and your project does. We ask that you include the amount that you received from the Give Where You Live Foundation. You can also look at providing a statistic or information to describe the need that you are seeking to address. And then obviously providing an example or story of the type of impact that your project is having. We do recommend to try and make this a personal or at times individual story, just because it is those stories that really resonate with the broader community and the people that sort of follow through social media and so forth. And we do ask that you also provide a high resolution photo, and we'll touch on the details of that in a couple of slides as well. When writing your story, we are suggesting that you consider the following questions as a way to be able to structure and unpack what your story might be. So what was the situation before the project started? How did the project help? And why was this important? These are just some examples of questions that might actually help you to write your story. The grant highlights are used in a number of different ways at Give Where You Live. So we use it within our GMAG magazine, which in 2021 will be changing its name to Conversations. We also share some of these stories within our G-Blast, which is our email, our e-newsletter. And we also share the stories through our social media forums as well. Some suggestions for taking and sharing a good photo. So we recommend that the photo has around 1 to 2 people. They're usually the best. Quite often the group photos don't necessarily make for a really strong, powerful image. We do ask that you send through the photo in its original form. So don't attempt to edit or crop or resize it. As you will see with the image on the slide, there is, by giving us it in the original form, it means that we can actually do the editing and cropping depending on the purpose for, that we're using the photo for. So just make sure that you send it through its original form and don't try to edit it. We do also recommend that you can send it directly from your smartphone. And quite often that actually assists in making sure that you're sending it through in its original form and at its highest resolution. Some cameras will ask whether you want to reduce the file size of your photo. We do ask that where possible, please send it through at its full actual size, because again, it just gives us the resolution that we potentially need to be able to use in various publications and forums. Please don't embed it in a Word document and send it through in a Word document. We need the actual image file itself. And the other thing to note is please make sure that you have permission to share the image. So that before you send it through to us, we do make an assumption that once we have received an image that you will have obtained the relevant and necessary permissions to be able to share it. I guess one thing to keep in mind is that, as we all appreciate, that once an image is shared on the internet or on social media, we can take it down, but it doesn't mean that other people haven't necessarily accessed it. So just making sure that, that people are aware that when they're signing and agreeing and providing permission, that they understand that that might be the case. What I would also say with this regard is we completely appreciate that there can be some sensitivities around sharing photos of some of your community members or clients, and we will absolutely take your guidance and advice around how best to negotiate the sharing of those images, or whether we need to use alternative images to represent your project. Within the Grantee Pack, we have provided an example of a permission form. This is a form that we use internally at Give Where You Live. There's no expectation that you particularly use that form, but it is available to you and your organisation if you would like to use that form to obtain your necessary permissions. And just some examples of photos that we have used in the past. Absolutely, our preference is to be able to share photos of your project and your community, but we do understand that that may not always be the case. If that is the situation, then we can talk to you about looking at using a stock photo, and please just reach out to Sheridan at marketing to have that conversation. and we can have a look at how we can be creative in sharing a photo that still helps tell you the story of your project, even if it doesn't necessarily represent particular clients or community members that you work with. The other thing to keep in mind is where photos may have been taken for another purpose. So a really good example is if the Geelong Advertiser has come out and done a report on your project or your organisation. And if they do take photos, we just recommend that you ask if you can actually obtain permission and copies to reuse those photos as well. We will of course acknowledge the photographers as required, but it does quite often mean that you get some quite good high quality photos through those means. Just with regards to sort of branding and acknowledgements. So some of you may have attended our AGM last week, where we launched our new logo, which you can see on the screen here. So we are just in the process of updating all the relevant documentation and branding guidelines related to this new logo. And we will share that information in the Grantee Pack as soon as we have that available. I have loaded 2 versions of our new logo into the Grantee Pack, so you do have those available for use. If you have any questions in the meantime around branding guidelines, please just reach out to Sheridan and she will be able to assist and support you on that front. With regards to acknowledgements, we do ask that you use the full organisational name, so Give Where You Live Foundation, and also use the preferred logo, which is the square logo that you see on the screen. We do have a long version of the logo as well available for your use. And if using social media, we provide there our various social media handles as well, if you are able to share those. As I said, if you do have any questions or need any assistance, please feel free to contact Sheridan directly, and you could also email marketing@givewhereyoulive.com.au also. So just a quick note on the Grantee Pack. So this year we have started trialling an online Grantee Pack to be able to provide you with all the relevant information and report templates. And as you can see on screen there, access to our logos as well. So this is, I guess, a new way of distributing this information. Previously, we would have sent this all through with various attachments via email, but we're hoping that by sharing it this way, it actually gives you simpler and easier access to the information. To be able to access anything within the online Grantee Pack, all you need to do is click on the relevant box that you want to open, and basically a box will pop up that will either have some information within it or attachments within there as well that you can either just view online or you can download directly onto your computer. So the Grantee Pack, as previous years, includes reporting templates, some of the key reporting dates. We will include the recording and the slides of the information session today within there as well. And then we also have obviously the branding guidelines and additional marketing and acknowledgement information on there as well. There's a couple of additional pieces that we have put in there just to provide some additional assistance. As I mentioned earlier, we have attached the Give Where You Live permission form. As I said, it's not a requirement that you use that, but it is available to you if you find it useful. We have also attached a most significant change story collection template. Again, this is not an expectation that you use this to collect your story, but you might actually find the template a useful way of being able to interview a participant or member of community and assist in capturing your story that you can report back to us. With the online Grantee Pack, if you do have any issues or challenges in accessing the information in any way, please just let us know. We are more than happy to email the information out to you separately. And just please do let us know if you have any issues in using it. I guess just a couple of things to finish on. Firstly, normally, under normal circumstances, we might look at organising a visit out to your organisation or project at some point over the year. Whilst we are all really enthusiastic that we might have the opportunity to do that in 2021, we also acknowledge that the context and environment changes on a regular basis at the moment. So we will be in touch with you next year if we are in a position to do that, and we'll obviously coordinate any necessary visits so that they don't so that they fit in with your schedule. You may also be aware that at various points, Give Where You Live has provided capacity building training opportunities, most notably the Theory of Change workshops and some monitoring and evaluation workshops. We were looking at providing most significant change storytelling workshops at the start of this year, but unfortunately had to cancel those when we went into lockdown. We are still really keen on progressing those workshops next year, but we will let you know once we have some idea of what that might look like, and check in to see whether there is genuine interest across our community partners to undertake that training. We do recommend that if you would like feedback on your grant application, please just reach out to us and let us know. If you send us an email, we can follow up and schedule a time that's convenient for both of us. And appreciating that we're coming up to Christmas, more than happy to follow up and provide that feedback in the new year as well, if that is easier for you. And I guess just to finish, one bit of follow-up from today's meeting. So we will get the recording of today's session along with the slides up into the online Grantee Pack. And Jennifer will be following up just to look at scheduling in an appropriate time for you to submit your grant highlight story as well. So we'll be following up on that in the next week or so. As I said, if you have any questions about information within the Grantee Pack or any information that you're a bit unsure about from today's session, please just reach out and let us know. So thank you for your time today, and I'm sure we'll be in contact soon. Thank you.